You're tuned in to the Keith Harris Show Global Network right here on Hotline Radio. Once again, want to remind everybody or wish everybody a happy Veterans Day out there. Hope everybody's relaxing and just kind of got their feet kicked up today and enjoying themselves. Also want to remind people the call-in number to call is area code 510-340-5396, and that's for any shout outs or anything like that. Now, without further ado, wonderful, well respected, as I told you before, director and producer on the show today. This man has done plenty of work, tons of things, which I can't wait to ask him about and find out what past, present, and future projects is going on. Without any further ado, it's Travis Mills. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. You're very well. Thank you for being here, man. We're honored. What are you doing today? Were you able to kind of take the day off? I know it's slow. It's a holiday, different places. You relaxing today or still kind of busy?
No, I've been working. I met up with the co-founder of Running Wild Films, my company. His name is Gus Edwards. He's a famous playwright in the African-American theater world and beyond that. And met up with him and kind of touched base and then did some other work things. And now the rest of the day will be for realization.
Okay. Now, Running Wild Films. How long have you guys had that up and going?
We started the company in May of 2010, Gus and I. So it's been up for a little bit more than 4 years now.
Okay. And now, look, we'll get into some of these films because you're making films at an amazing rate. I don't know, like I don't make films, so I don't know, but listen, 52 short films in 52 weeks, Travis. Isn't that like a week of film?
Yep, it is, yeah.
How do you pull that off?
You know what? A lot of people think that, but I really don't think it's that weird or extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really. A lot of people make short films or feature films, and they take months or years to do them, and I really don't believe in working that slowly, and I don't think that you have to.
Mm-hmm.
I compare filmmaking more to sports than to art, and look at the amount of games that baseball players play. You know, okay. It's not like they sit around and wait for months and then play a baseball game. You know, they're playing several times a week. You know,
yeah.
Sometimes. So that's how I look at film, and that's the pace that I want to work at. And I honestly wish that more people would do the same. So I look at it as more of a sport.
Hey, that's keeping it. You know, that's keeping it honest. Now, you know, when it comes to, does that include actually like writing a film as well as shooting it, or is that the whole process?
Specifically to the 52, no. I wrote the films in September of 2012, so they were all already written, and you know I knew what week I was going to do each film, so that process was done before, but the actual filming of the movies was done week by week during 2013, and then the editing was finished up in like a month in January of 2014, earlier this year, and we screened them all in February of 2014.
Okay, and that doesn't, you know, that doesn't necessarily put a strain on your actors, does it? Are they like, whoa, like?
Well, we switched up the actors, you know. So sometimes, you know, we'd have actors working on several short films, but they'd have, you know, a week off here, you know, 2-3 weeks off here, and we used quite a few actors. I'd say at least 50 local actors in principal roles, and I think the actors are just happy for the work.
Right.
And actors here, and I think all over, they're tired of doing projects and then waiting for months to actually get the finished product. You know, and in our case, what really people enjoy is that you make a film with us, and then only 2-3 weeks later, you're looking at the final product, and you can use that to promote yourself. So
you know what, and touching on that as well, I can understand what you're saying, and that makes sense. I could imagine if I was an actor, I'd be the same way. Are there different reasons why that can be the case? I assume, or is it, you know, Are you guys not that limited, like on the resources to be able to do it so that you can put them out that fast, or is it really just a work ethic?
It's the work ethic mostly. You know, it's really just being disciplined about finishing it. And honestly, I know this sounds bad, but it's not being a perfectionist. Not every film is going to be a masterpiece. Not every, just like, you know, you can't win every game. But if you win 2/3 of them, then you have a great season. You know, so you just got to make a film and then learn from the mistakes that you make, and then move on and make another one. And I think a lot of those people, they want to make a short film. They want it to be perfect, a masterpiece, go to Sundance. You know, that's the kind of attitude I saw in film school, and it just didn't make any sense to me. So.
Right. And obviously the more work that you are able, the more projects that you're able to finish, the more likely that you'll have those few that will really break ground and break through.
That's been my philosophy. There's different ways to approach it, but mine has been build a big body of work and really develop your craft, you know, as you're building that body of work.
Okay. All right. Now, you know, going on to like feature films, as a matter of fact, let's talk about Duel at the Mound, okay, which was again shot in what, 9 days, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's a feature film.
9 days. Yeah. What would you say?
And that's a feature film too, by the way.
That's a feature film, yeah. 9 days because I thought, you know, 9 is the baseball number, right? You know, so had to do it in 9 days, it's pretty fast, but you know, it's all about planning ahead of time and shooting quickly and knowing what you want, and that saves a lot of time. You know, having your actors prepared and knowing exactly what shots you want, you can do something like that. It's not unheard of.
Right. Are you able to I know the film is or was to be released in October. Is that still a green light, or?
Yes, the film already premiered in Phoenix, or in Tempe, Arizona, rather, on October 17th, and we screened it 6 times. It had a small theatrical run in Arizona. We also screened the movie in a small town in Mississippi, where my mom is from.
Okay.
And we are looking at doing a limited VOD release soon through Vimeo on Demand, which is a VOD site.
Right.
And then from there, we're looking for distribution for the movie, both domestically and internationally.
Okay. And what was the inspiration behind Duel at the Mound? Like the plot?
I've always wanted to make a baseball movie. I've always been interested in baseball, especially after I saw Kid Burns' baseball documentary. It's really inspired by that. And there's even an idea in there. One of the interviewees says something about the relationship between the pitcher and the batter being a duel, and that put the idea, the concept for the movie in my mind, and then from there the character slowly developed. Okay. So I was finally able to make a baseball movie like I wanted to for a while.
Okay. And you know, we'll go back into more of your films in a minute. But what inspired you to become a producer and a director? Like, when did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
I've always been obsessed with movies since I was a child, and I've always had the storytelling bug, you know, writing and all that kind of thing. But I think that probably in late high school, I started to get really serious about it and really committing myself to it. Then deciding to go to film school at ASU, that was another step. But I think the ultimate step was when I decided to start the company, and only a year later went full-time, because that full-time jump that a lot of people aren't able to do or are afraid to do, it's a huge step when you say, okay, I'm not going to have another job, it's my security, I'm just going to do this, it's scary, but I'm doing it, and there's no looking back. And I think even though I was making films a long time before that, that's really the step where you say, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm nothing else but a filmmaker.
Right. Now, and with making so many films, whether it be feature films, because I know there's 4 feature films and over 80 short films, how do you come up with the idea? I mean, you're putting out these films at a fast rate. How do you come up with the idea to write or be able to create these stories of what you want the movie to be about so fast?
Trust me, for every one film that we make, there were probably 4 or 5 ideas that didn't get made. Wow. I mean, when you're a storyteller, you just have constant ideas coming to you, and some of them come and go, and others, sit with you for a while, and then you decide, okay, I have to tell this. Now with the 52, I took old short stories by James Joyce, Ernest Hemingway, Mark Twain, people like that, and I adapted them to present-day Arizona. So technically, those aren't our original short stories, but we still had to figure out how to change them and adapt them to the screen. But yeah, for every idea we get, there's, I posted the other day on Facebook, we have 9 unproduced screenplays for features in our vault right now, and I'm sure that number's only going to get bigger and bigger.
Right, and then you guys are you're gonna stay focused on putting those out as well. Like, they're not just gonna sit on the shelf. You're gonna work on them.
As long as we can find the money and the means to get them produced, absolutely.
Okay. Now, Bride of Violence. Now, that was a feature film that you guys worked on in the past, right? Or is that...
Which one?
Is it Bride of Violence, based on a short story?
No, that one's one that we actually have in development right now.
Oh.
That's the guy that wrote this new movie, A Walk Among the Tombstones, with Liam Neeson.
Right.
The guy that wrote the book for that, Lawrence Block, he wrote a short story called Bride of Violence. We optioned that. I wrote the screenplay. Then the guy that's going to direct it, another guy at Running Wild, Kyle Gherkin, he is revising the screenplay. We hope to make that later in the middle of next year.
Okay.
So,
all right.
That one's actually still in development. That'll be our 6th, 7th feature. I'm starting to lose count at this point, honestly.
Holy moly. And then you got Durant Never... Is it Durant Never Closes?
Yes, that's correct. And that's our biggest project yet, because it's our first where we're bringing out Hollywood talent to Phoenix for it,
Okay. Are you at liberty to kind of give a briefing on what direction or what plot you're going to with that, or?
What do you mean by that? Just in terms of
what it's about?
Oh, what the film is about? Yeah. Well, the film is actually based on a true story of a famous guy in Phoenix, a guy who opened a restaurant called Durant's. And he's really well known in Phoenix, sort of a notorious character who may or may not have been connected to the mafia here. And I based the film on the books of a woman named Mabel Leo and the play of a woman named Terry Earp. Took their material and kind of brought it into the screenplay form, kind of did our own thing with it. So it takes place in one day at this famous restaurant in Phoenix with the character Jack Durant, who's played by Tom Sizemore, and it just kind of has to do with his life and the conflict he's going through at that time.
Okay, all right. Now, what are some of your... You made so many films, you guys. Now, do you have a favorite? Do you have any particular favorite of films or favorite stories that you really like to focus on mostly?
Well, I like, as a genre, I really like the crime genre. Okay. I'm really fond of the crime genre, specifically film noir. Mm-hmm. So I've been focused on that, at times, and I really like westerns, which is why I'm going to be doing the westerns soon. Right. And I can't pick a favorite of my films. Like my favorite filmmaker, Werner Herzog, says that all of your films, they're like your children. And even if they're handicapped or whatever, even if they have faults, you love them. And that's true. Even my worst film, I have affection for. So can't really pick a favorite. I'm always most fond of what I made last, because it's the freshest and it's what it has my best work in it. So.
Right. And you've also done music videos, commercials, documentaries, and things like that too.
Yes, this is true. We have.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, have you ever thought about doing acting yourself? Have you ever acted in any of your films, or are you considering it, or?
Yeah, I've acted in several of our films. I acted in our second feature film. I was the lead character. Whether that was a good idea or not is, debatable. But it was a fun experience, and it was a big learning lesson. And every time I act in one of my films, I keep telling myself, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's a bad idea. But for some reason, I keep coming back to it. So I get the acting bug every once in a while.
Well, do you think being a producer and director, everybody's got to be on point when they're, either in front or behind the camera, but do you think you're more harder on yourself when you're in the acting position just because that producer director side comes out of you at the same time? Do you feel any extra pressure when you're acting?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be happy with what you're doing. I think it's easier to look at someone else's performance and say, okay, tweak this, tweak that. It's hard to be objective about your own performance and be pleased with it. But, I mean, at the same time, the pro of it is you don't have to explain what you want to someone, You already know what you want to get. It's just about doing it and communicating that. So there's pros and cons on each side.
Right. Now, when it comes to like casting for your movies and things like that, how, I know there's a lot of talent out there, and everybody wants to kind of be in a movie. Like you can find a million people who want to act, but how is
right.
it? How is it when you guys decide as to who to pick? Like, what qualities do you kind of look for other than good acting skills?
I look for, besides them just being, having experience and being a good actor, I look for a good attitude, someone who's, likable to work with. I don't want to work with prima donnas and people who have a bad attitude, people who take the work for granted. I like newer actors because they're always hungry for the work. And I find that the more an actor does the work, the more they start to take it for granted, which is really regrettable. They start to just kind of say, it's just another movie. Well, no, it's not just another movie.
Right.
It's going to be the best movie we've ever made. And I like people who approach the work that way. Every single time they're bringing their all to the work. So
right.
That's what I look for.
And then I guess once, sometimes with some people, I guess after they've done so many different films, it's like they kind of get laxed about it. Like, okay, I've done this before, or they expect certain. Do you find certain people expect certain treatments and things like that? Like,
oh, absolutely, yeah. They get spoiled,
It's like,
they
hey,
get spoiled, and I mean, and I find that we've created, we're able to shoot a short film in a day, and like I tell you, have it out in like a week or two. And at first, that was such an admirable quality that I found that actors enjoyed about us. But over time, they get used to that, and all of a sudden, they're kind of spoiled with that. So people start to, they start to expect things, and even in this small little world of Phoenix, Arizona, they kind of start to develop Hollywood-like, attitudes about some things. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them definitely. And if I see that, I usually just start to avoid it. That's not the kind of person that I want to work with.
Yeah, it slows down. It slows things down. Now, Recession Road, okay?
Yep.
Is another film. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, Recession Road is a very different movie for Running Wild because it's the first movie that we're going to do that we didn't create. We didn't create this project. A guy named Joe Ricci approached me with the script and said that, he was interested in me producing it. And then after discussing the script and, working on it together and doing the recent teaser trailer, so it's a project that's been brought in from the outside. We're almost, in a way, being hired to do it, but we're very passionate about this movie because Joe and I are on the same page about it. We really want to make an old school 70s style bare knuckle boxing movie that is set in modern times, set in 2008 during the recession. So, but yeah, it's a unique project because, like I said, it's not something that I wrote or originated.
Okay. Now going on to the westerns, because we know everybody loves westerns, and as a matter of fact, you do too. Upcoming, are you going to be working on? Is it 12 western feature films, or do you have any idea what number that is going to be yet, or?
12 Western feature films, because the idea is to do one a month, one a month in 2016.
Right. Now,
that's the goal. It's kind of like taking the 52 films to the next level,
Now, these are going to be westerns, like actual westerns. Are the people going to be on horses, like really what a western is?
During most of them, my idea is to do, it may not work out exactly like this, but my idea is to do 6 what I would call traditional westerns, and then 6 variations on the genre. Now, the variations might be anything as what I would call a modern western, so you might not have horses, but you'll still see western elements in the film, or a western comedy, a western musical. Just playing around with the genre can go in so many different ways. You can make a horror western, you can make a science fiction western if you want to. I don't think I'm going to get that crazy because it doesn't interest me. But it's a genre that's very flexible. So I think I'll do 6 traditionals and then 6 variations.
Right.
Is what my plan is.
Right. Now, what? Okay. Well, first, now your films that are out and that people can go pick up. Like you were mentioning earlier that some were going to be on VOD. Where can the viewers and the listeners go to check out your films at? Are they Redbox or VOD, or where can they look?
Right now, our films are exclusively on Vimeo on demand. Okay. So if you search for Running Wild Films or any of our titles, Vimeo on demand is where you're going to find our first feature films, The Big Something, The Detective's Lover, The Men Who Robbed the Bank, and you can also download all of the 52 films on there. And you can also, just to get a preview of our work, you can watch a lot of what we've done on YouTube for free. I always encourage people, go on YouTube, browse our work, look at some of the music videos, look at some of the short films, and then go to Vimeo and support our work by paying for it. So
absolutely. Now, what has been, besides just in general doing what you love, in making films, what is also the best experience for you, just personally, about what you do and being so good at your craft? What do you enjoy most about making films?
That's tough. I mean, I enjoy when I'm happiest is just being on set, actually doing it. Even though I believe I'm pretty good at it, I don't enjoy the planning of it much, because there's so much stress that goes into producing and planning a movie. And the editing process is not something I enjoy, even though I oftentimes have to do it, because I don't like just being stuck in front of a computer. I like being out there on set and working with the actors and working with the crew. Again, it's a sport to me, so I like the physical element of it, and that's why I'm so interested in doing these westerns, is I really just want to be out there working day after day after day. If it was up to me, I would shoot 6 days or 5 days a week, and then have a day or 2 off, and just do that every week for the rest of my life. So I really want it to be that consistent.
Do you think you think any of these upcoming projects, you think you're gonna jump in front of the lens on any of these?
Be able to what?
You think you're gonna do any acting in any of your upcoming projects? I know you said you think twice about that. But
I've thought about it with some of them, but it's really got to be, for me to want to act, it's got to be a role when I write it that I just feel like I have to play it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna force anything, but there's the roles that I've done, most of them, I felt like this is something I really want to do. I feel like I have to do it. For even if I mess it up, I feel like it's something that I need to do. So it'll come around again. I'm just not sure when.
Now that you say that, I wanted to ask you this question, because I know I do this. I sit back and I watch movies and I'm like, that's who I will be. Like, so when you're acting, do you if you could write yourself in a role, do you want to be the smooth guy, the smooth criminal, the bad guy, or who do you see yourself being if you could play your favorite role?
Well, I mean, the favorite role I've actually ever played is in one of the 52, and he's kind of like a psychotic gang leader, which seems a little against type, but he's sort of a director in his own world of this little small gang, and that's the role that I actually had the most fun playing and that I'm the most proud of. I think I would like to play more roles like that, sort of on the edge, sociopaths, psychotics. I know that sounds crazy, but those are really fun roles to play, and you can really go crazy with them.
Right, because you can, like you say, you can be a little bit of both. You can be the, it's not like quite going around and being the axe murderer, but at the same time, it's being cool, yet it's being smooth, and then dangerous and edgy at the same time, right?
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. Now what we're doing this so much for yourself, but before we get ready to get out of here, we're doing this so much. What advice? Because you got a lot of people who, well, not so many people, but people who want to get into the film industry, or just young people coming up. What is probably the best advice that you could give to them about staying focused or being serious, or just a work ethic?
My advice would be just start making films and don't worry about making mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. Just make films and learn from those and keep moving on. Don't get hung up on those mistakes. And that's what I saw a lot in film school. And most of the people that I went to film school with aren't making movies at all. I think I'm one of the only people who's consistently still making movies. And that's a shame because there were a lot of talented voices, and they just get kind of hung up. So just keep working and develop your craft. That's what I would suggest. And don't let anything hold you back. These days, equipment is so cheap. Just, save up, get yourself a DSLR camera, start shooting stuff, get actors for free. If someone tells you you can't do it, prove them wrong, because that's what I've done time and time again. Every step of the way in Running Wild, someone has said, you can't do that. It's not possible. Every single time we beat them, and we continue to beat them.
Right.
So.
And it's also probably, I guess, it's also important that when you're doing it, to really take it serious. I know, there's a lot of people who might get caught up in the glitz and the glamour of just saying they're in a movie, or a lot of people get tied up in the whole film festival thing and, all in dressing nice. But I guess it's just really important to take what you're doing seriously, just like anything else.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot of people just are interested in the glamorous side of it. Mm-hmm. But it's really not that glamorous. It's hard work. So I think people need to see that, is they need to go out and make films and see, okay, this is not about the glory or the glamour or winning awards. It's about putting the work in. You're no different than a carpenter or, like I said, a baseball player who's got to play a lot of damn games before he actually, gets some kind of reward or trophy.
Right, gets the win. When is your next the film that you're working on, or whatever film that you guys plan to have available next? How soon would that be, and which film is that?
So we just finished Duel at the Mound. It should be released VOD soon. Then we're shooting, hopefully, Recession Road in January, February of next year. Then we go right into filming Durant's Never Closes in March of next year. And then hopefully Bride of Violence in the later half of next year. So, bare minimum, I would like to make 3 feature films next year. Recession Road, Durant's Never Closes, and Bride of Violence. Okay.
Well, look, we look forward to seeing those films. And everybody out there listening to Radio Land, make sure you go to Video on Demand, or as he said, go to YouTube and, check out a bit of the movies as well. A whole lot of projects that Travis is working on. And Travis, it'd be good, as you work through these projects, we'd be honored to have you to come back on the show and let us know how things are going and what's coming out next, and if you jumped in front of the camera or not.
I would love that. I would love to come back whenever you'll have me.
That sounds wonderful. You're welcome here anytime. Travis, we're gonna follow you. Keep up with what you're doing. And it's good to hear from you, and we'll talk again soon. And look, again, man. I'm still amazed, man. That many movies, 52 short films in 52 weeks. That's keep it up, man. Congratulations on the success.
I appreciate it. Thank you. That's very encouraging.
All right, take care, Travis.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was Travis Mills. Yep, y'all heard it. Over 80 short films. I thought it was 4 feature films, but it's more like 6. And a lot of Westerns coming up. I know it's a lot of Western lovers out there. A lot of us, our pops and everybody grew up on Westerns, and we still love Westerns to the day. So this man is doing a lot. Very serious. And I like what he